Hello. Today I'm going to get on with some jobs for October. I'm Liz Zorab and this is By the Farm. And these are onions that have been grown to the point where they're just little tiny bulbs, and they're now primed and ready to start growing in autumn and then finish growing next year, and they'll give a reasonably early and hopefully really nice crop of onions. These are a variety called Sensu Yellow, so there are Japanese overwintering onion, and they go flat end down, pointy end up, and I'm spacing them at about 7 inches apart, so about a hand span apart. And I have grown onions much closer together very successfully in the past, but this time I'm going to give them a little bit more space. So you can see I'm digging down, but I'm actually just digging down enough so that I can put the onion onto the soil, and then I can flick this mulch back over the top of it. But I want the roots down on the soil, so they're getting the whole range of nutrition, as opposed to the more limited range of nutrients that we'll get from this used duck bedding. It's very lightweight, and the young shoots shouldn't have any problem working their way up through that. There were enough onion sets to do about half of that bed, so I've done one row all the way down the edge, and the remainder I've done in rows going across. I've been joined by our resident Robin, who likes to see everything I'm doing in the garden. And the next thing I'm going to do is just lift all the groundsel from here, because it's in flower, which means very soon it will be setting seed everywhere. I really don't want that, so I'll just do a quick tidy up in front of this bed. It doesn't take too long just to pull up a few weeds. I've still got some strawberries here that need to be rehomed, either in another bed or in the compost heap. Now these are not going into the compost heap because they've got flowers on them, and those will very quickly turn to seeds even though I've taken it out of the ground. And I don't really want to be putting a whole load of seeds into my compost, so these will go into a bag and either compost over the next few years, or actually we may well just take those bags of weeds and take them off site and get them to the municipal tip, dump, recycling area. It feels like it's not very long ago since I last came through and weeded this bed, but actually it's probably a month or maybe 5 or 6 weeks. And apart from these rows of turnips, I think, why can I never remember? Apart from these rows I've planted and the dill here, I know everything else is a weed, so I could either just bring a hoe, or given how easy this ground is to work at the moment, I can just lift them by hand. It's typical, isn't it, when you say the ground is easy to work and then you come across a really tough weed with a deep root. But it's worth spending the time rather than just snapping, this one's a dandelion, rather than just snapping the top off, to work the root out if you can, because weeds like dandelions will just continue to grow back. So it's worth spending a little bit of time getting the roots out whenever you can. Now this bed is a perfect example of why I like to use mulch. If I just chop and drop all of these weeds, they will break down and help feed the soil, and then I can bring a mulch over and mulch all of these, exclude the light, so that my lovely soil here doesn't get too dry and then blow around and be eroded by the wind, and B, doesn't get washed away by too much water travelling across it. A mulch layer will feed the soil, prevent new weeds from growing, and in terms of getting this bed ready to go through autumn and winter, I won't be planting anything else in it this year, so getting it covered is a really good idea. Now is also an ideal time to have a really good look through your garden and see what's grown well, what hasn't, and to make notes for things and changes that you want to make next year. But you don't need to do this on pen and paper. You could bring your phone out and just record your thoughts onto your phone as you go, and if you notice things that need harvesting, you could pick a few of those as well. I'm not quite sure how this works, that every time I come out to record, the farmer in the field also starts working, but maybe we both wait for dry weather. And I'm just so nosy. I want to know what he's doing. And I can't see. When we first moved here nearly 5 years ago, I was wandering around on walking sticks, really not very well. So I'm really pleased with how much of an oasis for wildlife and what a productive garden I've been able to create. And if you'd like to find out exactly how I did that, I've written a book. It's called Grounded, and it will be published in February, but you can pre-order it now, and you can order that from my website, and I'll leave a link on the screen and in the video description, at Permanent Publications, and also on other major online retailers like Amazon. And in this area, I'm going to start by taking down this netting cage. It's been here all summer to protect these brassicas from butterflies and moths. And I think we've got to that time of year now where the number of moths and butterflies that are going to be around are vastly reduced. And so I'm going to take the cage down. It could stay up all winter. Absolutely could. It has stood up to some fairly fierce storms so far, but I actually want to move it for next year. So next year I want to have it further over there, so I just want to have it in a different place, so I need to take it down. So I'm going to take all the clips off it that are holding the netting on, and then take the netting off and then dismantle it. And then I'm going to harvest some of the sprouts and get those inside and prepared and stored away for use later in the winter. One of the things that I did to ensure that there was a really good lot of protection was to bury this netting under the pathway. So I pinned it down using these hooks, long hooks into the ground, and then put wood chips over the edges, and that really seems to have sealed it nicely to stop butterflies and moths getting in there. If you're enjoying this video or getting some value from it, please give it a thumbs up or leave a comment, or both. And if you haven't done so already, why not subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell, and then you'll be notified by YouTube every time I put out a new video. So next I'm going to remove the tubing I put around the sides, and I did that so that the netting came a little bit further out, because I wanted to try and squeeze in one more row of cabbages, which I did, and then a lot of them I forgot to harvest. Now I've taken the netting off, the little robin has appeared yet again to inspect and see what I'm doing. This domed fruit cage came from Gardening Naturally. Once there were two of us working on it, it was very quick and easy to put together. I'm hoping that for moving it will be just as easy. So my plan is just to take the legs off and to leave the dome as it is, and hopefully I'll be able to move it like that. And I'm trying to roll it so that it doesn't just crush down onto the plants that are in here. So by rolling it away, that protects the kale and Brussels sprouts and purple sprouting broccoli that's in here. And it's quite straightforward. All I'm going to be doing is moving it across a few feet. So not enough just to pick it up and move it over, but it'll be going across a few feet for next year. Let's have a look in here. Well, we've got a fair old number of whitefly. Oh, whitefly's okay, I don't think it's a problem. If you've got whitefly on your brassicas, you can just take it in, give them a shake before you harvest them, and take them in and wash them off with a little bit of salty water, and that's not going to cause too many problems. You see, they're like confetti. There we go, and the only bit that's come off there is one of the top central supports, so I'll just click that back into place. There we go, and that's now ready for me to move further over. So I think you can see how little damage there is in terms of caterpillar damage. There is quite a lot of little whitefly on it. As I said, I'm not terribly worried about that. And you can see that the Brussels sprouts have done incredibly well. And a lot of these are now absolutely ready to harvest. And there's a few of them who have almost blown and opened up a little too far. I can still use these, but there are plenty up here for me to harvest. Nice early harvest of sprouts. I'm very pleased to have them at this time of year in October. So I will cook some of these fresh, and the rest I will just blanch and freeze, ready for use at a time when I haven't got much energy to come out into the garden, or I have little inclination. So this is probably the most advanced of the Brussels sprout plants. Some of the others are forming sprouts that haven't got this good yet. So I will carry on harvesting a few more of these, and then I'll move on and we'll see what else needs doing to prepare the garden for autumn and winter. Can you hear me? Yeah. Out in the greenhouse there are a few jobs that need doing too. I didn't grow very much in the greenhouse this year because I mostly use the polytunnel. But I've decided for next spring I will be growing in here, and because this is really close to the house, it means I don't have to venture out too far in cooler weather or wet weather to attend to young plants and to just get on with some seed sowing and things. But what I do need to do is look at the greenhouse. There are some jobs that need doing in here. During the storms earlier this year, we lost some panes of glass. So this window has no glass in it. Now I have got spare glass, so I need to get that put in and made secure. And at the end there are also a couple of sections here and here that have no glass in them, and a panel there, and they're the ones that really need to have glass cut to the right shape. I haven't had that done since we've been here, and each year all I do is cover this with bubble wrap and tape it on, hence the bits of tape which can come off now. And so anything that's slightly askew, like the louver windows I've noticed have got a little gap at the top of them here, and even this pane has slipped a little bit. All of those little fixing jobs I can get done in the next few weeks. And then the greenhouse can have a jolly good clean, and it will be ready for use next year. There are plenty more little jobs that can be done in October, and so I'll show you a few more of those next time. And so, wherever you are in the world and whatever you've got planned for today, I hope it's a good one, and I also hope you'll join me again next time.